Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with Jay Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Well, friends, thank you so much for another episode. Another tuning in for another episode. I'm very thankful you're here, and I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. That's what we talked about in the last episode was 3 tips for a healthy Thanksgiving, and I hope you had just that. This episode is coming out on the Sunday and Monday after Thanksgiving. Ours was wonderful. We got the family together. I don't think we left the family dinner table until like almost 10:30. And that's just a sign of a good time where you're just sitting there talking and laughing. Very much needed. But now, my friends, you are listening to this as we turn towards December. Absolutely crazy. We are here at the end of 2024. And so, again, thank you for listening last week. But I want to turn our eyes towards December. Now, I have been doing something for the last 4 years that was inspired by my childhood friend, Ruth Dobson. She and her sister, Caroline and Ruth, were friends of mine when I was a kid. We lived on the same street for a while. But she started something a few years ago called 2525, which was 25 minutes of movement for 25 days in December. And so over the years, it's morphed and transformed. And over the last few years, I've been doing something called 31 for 31, which is very similar. And I think you can figure out what it is. It is a way to stay mentally and physically healthy throughout the month of December. We're going to have wonderful parties. We're going to have the opportunities to just kind of sit and relax, a little bit more time off for some of us. And it's going to be tempting to make it the unhealthiest physically time of the year. And so, what 31 for 31 is very simple. For each day in December, you will move for 31 minutes. It doesn't even have to be 31 minutes in a row. And anything is allowed. I mean, it is walking, yoga, running, swimming, jump roping, whatever it is that you do. It is a way to stay active and keep track of it. 31 for 31. So what I did is I went back last year and I looked at my post on social media about that. And you know what? There were some wonderful testimonies. There were people who were like, yes, I'm going to do this. And there were folks that were like, this is a great idea. It helps me be accountable. And there were folks that even they're like, I dropped off a couple of days. So I'm like, it's totally okay. Just pick right back up. But the whole idea is to set a goal and to move for 31 minutes for each day of December. 31 minutes for 31 days. Let me take a sip of my coffee. And there's a couple of ways to track it. I'm going to be using the hashtag 31FOR31. So hashtag 31, the word spelled out for FOR 31, hashtag 31 for 31. And I'm going to be tracking this in a couple of places. Now, my running page for years has been called Toughness Groove, and it was rebranded this past year to Capitalize Your Best Life. Toughness Groove still exists. It's a line of fitness apparel, and you can get your gear at toughnessgroove.com if you want. I've got a great store there, and you can get short sleeves, tanks, long sleeves. And that gear was created originally around the same time of my initial onset of seizures. And I've worn Toughness Groove in most of my races for the past few years. And so I have a couple places for that. On Instagram, you can just look up Toughness Groove, and my running page is there. And I share tracking of my running. The Capitalize Your Best Life program is there. That's our 90-day personal coaching program. But I'm going to be posting there each day. And I'm going to include the hashtag 31 for 31. And so you can track my progress there, or you can use the hashtag 31 for 31 to join into the community. Now on Facebook, if you type in Toughness Groove, you're going to find it, but that page there has been rebranded to Capitalize Your Best Life. Those pages are almost absolutely identical to Instagram and the Facebook, almost completely identical. A few things different, but I'll also be sharing these in my stories. And so in my stories, most every day I post a photo after my run or whatever activity I'm doing. And I'm going to include in that photo hashtag 31 for 31. So that's the way that I'm going to be participating and the way I'm going to encourage you. Now, I don't typically run 31 days in a row. I usually run 6 days a week. On my days off, I do things like resistance band work, pull-ups, push-ups, some weighted dips, and that kind of thing. And that will continue, and that will be part of my 31 for 31. Some days it's just going for a walk with my family. I'm not actively training for a marathon right now. Now, I am beginning on Monday to begin training for the Run Big Land 10.4, which is the only Toughness Group sponsored race that we do, and that's in early January. I'll probably do a podcast about that. This will be our third year at Run Big Land, and that is a wonderful nonprofit that I support and that Toughness Group sponsors. And so I'll talk about that in a little bit. So I will be training for the Trail 10K. It is a technical trail race, which means it's a very difficult trail, lots of hills up and down. There's even a couple of spots where you have to use a rope to climb up. And this year it's going to be January, so it's going to be cold. Last year I ran it injured and injured myself on the race. But this year I'm healthy, thankfully. But I'll begin training for that on Monday. But again, I don't run 7 days a week. So even for me, you think, well, I just run all the time. It's easy. I still have to make sure that on those days off, I'm doing some form of movement for 31 minutes. Because the goal in this is not just to check something off, even though I like checking off things. It's to maintain a healthy lifestyle during the December holiday. And that's what I want for you. And I'm saying healthy by having a disciplined and balanced approach to physical movement. So I would love for many of you to take the 31 for 31 challenge. I'd like you to join me. Very thankful for Ruth introducing this to me a few years ago. We adapted it for Toughness Group and Capitalize Your Best Life. But looking back at last year, I saw it made a real impact on people. So I encourage you to join us on the 31 for 31 movement. After you've listened to this, let me know. I'll be posting about this on Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else I post. I'm going to be doing some TikToks on it as well. And so what I'd love for you to do is to join us. If you have a setback, it's totally okay. But let's give this a shot. Let's make sure we remain healthy during December and prepare for the start of a really healthy 2025, which is crazy to say. So friends, thanks for tuning in and listening. Let me know if you're going to take the challenge, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.